or just annoyance, disappointment, suffering, whatever. So like when you're living from the heart, it's just sort of like things are unfolding. Like your role as the host of a podcast is just happening. Like we're here in Rock Center right now. It's just happening, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to be a dad after I leave here, and it's just going to happen. Yeah. And then I'm going to wake up tomorrow and, be whatever version of Greg there is, and which is probably on the pull-up bar under the FDR with the old Chinese people. And then I'm going to go to work, it is what it is. But I'm not going to wrap any sort of association with what I think it's supposed to be into that. It's just living that practice.
Well, that, it's like that resentment you talk about too, that we build up. We were talking about how before, even like how I'm going on these I'm not going to bring surfboards on trips with my wife anymore, because I find myself kind of distracted and not totally present. If I'm surfing, I'm thinking about her and worrying about getting back in time and spending time with her. And this is not on her putting that on me. It's not her making me feel this way.
It's all in your head.
It's all in my head. And then if I'm with her while I'm at a place where there's waves, I'm thinking about the waves, and I'm thinking about the waves I'm missing, and I'm getting anxious and I'm getting resentful towards her. And that's like the thing I've learning how to say, no, this is what I'm going to be, or I'm going to be present here now and not worry about these other things. I don't know. For me, I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm getting more wiser to doing that and not trying to do too much.
Have you tried vacationing in the Rocky Mountains, Tyler?
I love that. Are you kidding? Like I've said this to my wife, like I want to go places where there's no surf. Yeah. It helps me so much more. Although she's the one that booked the trip to Puerto Rico for Thanksgiving. And I said, I'm not bringing a surfboard. We're staying in San Juan and we're going to stay in a nice place, and I'm not going to bring a board, and I'm just going to be present there with her.
It feels good when you're in that, the flow state or whatever you want to call it.
Well, if you're decisive, being decisive can be really nice. You just make that decision, do it, and not be waffling or trying to do too much, right? Like trying to do too much is also a real problem that we have in our society, I think, where our eyes are bigger than our stomachs sometimes, and we are trying to do too much in a day. And we're all creating these checklists, and we have these task management, apps, and we're like, I'm going to get this done, this done, this done, this done. And then if you don't get those done, you feel like a failure.
That's like full-on New Yorker right there.
It totally is, right? Like you got your Trello board, you got your Asana board, and
I remember when I did like a study abroad thing. I was in college for like 6.5 years. I mean, it was a train wreck, but one of those summers.
Where was it?
Well, I went to Colorado State University, but I dropped out after 2 years because I wasn't focused on it. But when I did,
you were too busy skiing.
I was a telemark skier for a big chunk of my life.
Oh man,
I was really into the tele skiing.
I love tele skiing.
But when I went back to school, I minored in Spanish, and I did a study abroad program in Barcelona. And I remember like showing up in Barcelona, and I was like, I can't read or write Spanish that well, but I can speak really well.
Right.
That's kind of the way my brain works. Like I hear languages and it just makes sense. But like reading and writing it is difficult for me. So there was a bar underneath the hostel that we were staying where I was going to school, and I made friends with a lot of the guys in the bar. So I'd like, at the end of the day, people would just sort of roll up and have a couple beers and shoot the shit about how their day was. And they would ask me, they'd be like, Gringo, ¿qué te hace? ¿Qué te pasa? ¿Cómo tú haces today? Like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Gringo. They always call me Gringo.
Yeah.
Like,
Gringo.
And I would sort of rattle off this list of things that I got done today. And they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? It takes me like a month to get that much done around here. But to your point, I was just like that, like type A New Yorker, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It's just, and you sort of like whip yourself into this hot lather.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're so deep in your mind that you've just completely lost it. And you do and then you take a break and you stop, and the world just comes like rushing up on you, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Hard.
It's hard. And it's been something I've been trying to practice, is to slow that down. And there's this thing, I actually was talking to a friend this weekend. She was saying how she is trying to adopt this philosophy of just doing 3 things that day. Can be anything. Could be just, taking a shower even, right? Like for some people. But If you just set your expectations for 3 things, yet you can manage that, and that's not overwhelming, and it's not too much. And
I think that goes back to like, that whole concept of balance for people, because everyone's different. Like for
Totally.
me, like I know that
it could be 3 big things too,
Yeah, but you got to have a practice.
Yeah.
So like Chuck Close, like is an artist, and like one of the like I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with social media because I see what like people are doing, and I'm just like, ugh. Like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to know about that. But then, like, I see something like, there's like a picture of Chuck Close, and he's got this amazing quote. And the quote is like, if you wait around for lightning to strike, you're not going to get a whole lot of work done.
Yeah.
The inspiration comes from doing the work.
Exactly.
So you have to have a practice. Like everyone's practice is different. So you wake up in the morning, you have coffee, you go to the bathroom, you work for a couple hours, you exercise, you go to the office, you come home, you make dinner with your family, you get up and you do it again. Like those are like the core components of the practice, and you can like stick in little variables here and there, but I don't care like how badly shit goes off the rails, whether you're feeling anxiety or depression or elation or whatever it is. If you stick to that practice, it's got you, it's got your back.
Yeah.
And things just sort of balance out as long as you stick to the practice. When you're freestyling with your life, and it's just like chaotic sparks all over the place and you don't have a plan, it's just a mess. Emotionally, physically, mentally,
I am someone who likes routine. Like I really feel like having routine can be really helpful to me. It's funny, like when I used to travel around a lot and live abroad, like, and I was just surfing, I wasn't doing anything.
And selling kind bars.
No, even before that, I was like, in South America. I spent 6 months in South America just backpacking and surfing. But I needed to create a routine. It was get up, do the surf check, go for a surf, come back, have breakfast at the same place, go walk and have my Spanish lesson with my friend. It was like always somewhat regimented. And I think having that gives you purpose, gives you a point.
You find inspiration in that.
Yeah, totally.
Do the work. Show up and do the work every day. And that's where the inspiration comes from. There's never this bolt of lightning that comes out of nowhere and says, whoa. And part of it is just like, we talked about before. It's like manifesting your own path in life. You just decide that you want to do something. That's the easy part. And then waking up every day and going and doing it. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
But it builds fortitude, It
does. The discipline helps, and it also creates the momentum, right? Like if you are in motion doing it, it becomes easier and easier. You
paddle out every day, you're going to get better. Yeah. And the only way to get better is more time in the water. I don't care what anybody says. You just got to fucking get out there, no matter what the conditions are.
It's very true. And you are someone who, when you're out in Montauk, you are out like every day, at least for a paddle.
If it's surfable, I'm out there.
Yeah.
Or I try to be out there. And even when it's like, there's no waves at all and it's really glassy, I'll paddle into the coves. I'll just go and paddle, towards town and back. It's just fun to be in the ocean, and checking stuff out. And I don't know, just getting exercise and fresh air.
It feels good.
It's a buzz, you know?
So you, do you have any siblings? Did you have siblings like that growing up too, who were similar?
I had an older brother, and I say had, because he took his own life a couple of years ago, and his birthday was actually last week.
Oh, wow.
It was October 18th, so it's kind of like a weird time of year for me, because there were certain aspects of his life where he was just incredibly intelligent and incredibly witty and really funny. But his life just sort of took a turn towards darkness, and he didn't really know how to get himself out of the hole. Like, he believed that there was a hole and that he was sinking further and further into it. And, my buddy John that I was telling you about that was in the bike accident, who took me to the Kadampa Center to hear the lesson on the poisons of anger. He was telling me, there's no fucking hole. Stop digging.
Yeah.
And if you believe there is a hole, you're going to keep fucking digging.
Yeah.
And you keep digging and digging and digging, and you look up, and the circle of light just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until one day you wake up and it's just darkness, no matter what you do. And, that's mental illness.
Was he close? Were you close? What was
we were
the age
closer when we were
difference?
young.
Yeah.
But as he got older, he just sort of went down a very dark road, and the hate and the disappointment and the direction his life was going sort of consumed him, and he became difficult to be around, as most people that fight depression are. They're mean.
Yeah.
They're upset. They're angry. So like the one thing like the Steve Krantz taught me, because I was like just getting involved in like learning about what Buddhism is at the point, and I was like, I'm so confused. There's so many things. There's like the Four Noble Truths, and there's the 8 wheels of Ashtanga, and what is? He's like, listen, man, don't make it so complicated. Just be kind to people.
Yeah,
because you don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know where they've come from. You don't know what happened to them. You don't know what kind of trauma they're going through. Just be nice to them.
Yeah, it's
And it took me a long time to get to that space. I mean, like I'm 48 now, and I just feel like I was walking, on the street this morning. I was on my way to work, and I feel like I'm kind of at the halfway point, like it's halftime's over.
Yeah.
Like it's time to get busy living in like a different direction.
Yeah.
For my family, for my kids, for the people around me, for myself. And it feels pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's hard to, you asked me if I had a sibling, and the answer is yes, but his life took a very different direction just because of the mental illness, and it's something that's like, it's clinical, like he couldn't help it, like therapy didn't help, whatever pills or whatever chemicals he was on, whatever type of, Prozac, Jack and Zac, whatever it was, like none of it helped. That there's something in him that just, he didn't have that fight to live, that will to live that some people just don't have. And it's like, I mean, I see it in a lot of people. And I mean, it's this, mental illness is something real. And we see people every day that we don't know might be going through it, are going through it. I have, 3 people in the course of like 2 years that I was close with. They all took their own lives.
Yeah.
Just because they just couldn't hack it anymore, I guess, or they were just so miserable.
It's, so I mean, we've talked a bit about this, like how, I have been going through that actually in this past year, where I was diagnosed with major depression disorder, and I had made an attempt on my life. I was self-harming myself. I was hurting myself. That there's this anger that you feel, but it's not outward, it's inward, right? Like, and we talk about anger and letting go, and you almost have anger to the world, but then you feel like, no, it's my fault. I'm the problem in this, and it gets redirected to yourself, and that's like a really difficult thing to reconcile.
Oh my God, yeah.
And for me, like, I didn't know how to express my anger properly, and I didn't know how to express myself properly, and I'm still working on that. But it's like, you
I've known you a while.
Yeah.
And the Tyler that I know, that I've met, at Mollusk, back in the days, like, you're a very happy person surrounded by a lot of light with a lot of people. Like, when you show up and you walk into a room, that room is a better place because you're in it. And you can tell that, those films that you do, and like, like all the stuff that you would get involved with, you saying this as a person that knows you until you said that, I would never in a million years think that's going on in Tyler's head.
Yeah. I learned to hide a lot of it, right? Like, I learned to suppress, and I learned to put an outward, face to a lot of it. And it was, it gets hard after a while. And I was self-medicating.
Yeah, because we think we're supposed to evolve to this one specific thing in life, and it doesn't work that way. You may never get there.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, you were brainwashed, man. It's not your fault. We were all brainwashed, you know? And part of like coming to terms with who you are is unlearning a lot of stuff that's been programmed into you,
It's there's traumas that happen when you're young, and those things affect you, and you learn to react a certain way. And, for me, it was growing up never really feeling like I never felt like my feelings could be valid. Like it always felt like I was